Yo guys, what's up? Monday86 here, back with the 2014 Subaru Crosstrek XV. And today we're going to be installing a rough country 2-inch lift kit. We're going to see what it looks like before and after. Hope you guys enjoy. Right, as you can see here in the front, you can see we're almost exactly 30 inches. Alright, here we are at the rear. We're about 29 3/4. Alright, let's go ahead and jack the front of the car up, take the wheel off. We're going to put some jack stands and block it. Alright. Alright, we got the front of the car jacked up, we got jack stands underneath, and we got the front wheel off. Alright, let's get to it. Here we are at the driver's strut assembly. We're going to go ahead and take the nut off the sway bar. We're going to go ahead and take the ABS sensor loose. And we're gonna loosen this brake line bracket. We got the sway bar bolt off. We have this loose and the brake line loose. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna loosen these two bolts here. First, make sure to come over here and mark your camber bolt. You want to make sure you get that close to the original alignment as possible. Alright, with that bolt down on the bottom and the camber bolt loose, we're going to go ahead up top, we're going to pop the hood, and we're going to loosen the 3 bolts of the strut up top. Alright, here we are at the top of the strut. Going to go ahead and loosen these 1, 2, 3. Alright, we got the 3 bolts up top loosened. Going to come over here and undo the camber bolt and the bottom bolt. Alright, now that we got the bottom bolts of the strut out, the wheel assembly just kind of sits down here. We're going to go ahead and just take the top 3 bolts of the strut off, and we should be able to get the strut out. Okay, we got the whole strut assembly out. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to put a little blue Loctite on these threads here, and then after we get the blue Loctite on there, we're going to put the spacer and the existing nuts that went on the top of the strut tower. Alright, we got some blue thread locker on there. Going to go ahead and install the spacer kit. We're going to put the notch towards the outside of the vehicle. I'll show you here that in just a second. Alright, on the spacer kit, there is the notch, and that'll be facing right towards the outside. We got the spacer on, and we got the nut sitting on there. We're going to go ahead and tighten it up, and then we'll put it in place. Got all the hardware tightened up. Going to go ahead and throw this whole strut assembly back in. Alright, now that we got the strut up here, we got the 3 nuts up top, and here it is underneath. Here's the notch right here. Now that we got the strut in, we're going to go ahead, we're going to put the camber bolt in along with the bottom bolt. And now that we got the camber bolt and the bottom bolt snugged up, we're going to go ahead and put the sway bar bolt in, the ABS line, and the brake line, and the bolt back over here. Got the camber bolt, the bottom bolt, we have the brake line and the ABS line back on. We're going to go up top, tighten the bolts that are up there, and once that's done, we'll be able to attach the sway bar. Alright, we got everything tightened up, got the strut, the spacer, all the nuts, everything tightened back up. We're going to go ahead and throw the wheel on, maybe see what it looks like, and then we'll do everything the same to the passenger side. Alright, this is what the driver's side looks like after we've already installed everything and dropped it down on the ground. Alright, here we are at the passenger side. We're going to go ahead and just repeat the same process. Let's get the wheel taken off and let's get it on jack stands and blocked. Alright, looks like we got the passenger side all finished up. Like I said, it's the same as the driver's side. We're just going to repeat the process for the passenger side. Alright, looks like we're going to be moving on to the rear of the vehicle now. Alright, looks like we're going to have to jack this thing up on both sides, putting jack stands under each side of the pinch weld. And we're going to have to lift it up and take the wheels off, and we'll go from there. We got the back jacked up, and we got a jack stand underneath the passenger side. And we'll come over here. And we have a jack stand holding up the driver's side. Alright, let's go ahead and take the wheels off. Alright, here we are at the passenger rear wheel well. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to come back here. We're going to loosen this bolt here. We're going to take it off. Remove one of these clips for the ABS line. Come back here to where the strut assembly is at. I'm going to take this bolt out. We're going to loosen this one, and we'll loosen this nut right here. This will be required to add the 2-inch spacer for the strut. Alright, went ahead and removed the bolt here. A couple clips for the ABS sensor. Came back here, removed those 3 bolts so this can move. 1, 2, 3. That's exactly what we need to get the strut from the top. Alright, got the brake line, the ABS all undone. Got the 3 bolts under here. You can see we're all free. Tons of room. Okay, we're gonna go up top and remove the 2 bolts that hold the rear struts in. Alright, I already went ahead and removed the floor to the rear cargo area. You just gotta simply remove it. And up here we got the 2 bolts for the strut on the passenger side, and the 2 bolts over here for the strut on the driver's side. We're gonna go ahead and just simply remove those bolts. Right, here we are underneath. We got the strut. So you can see it's ready to come out. Just go ahead and pull down on this lower control arm and remove the strut. Alright, we got the rear strut here. We're going to go ahead. We have the 2-inch spacer here, and we have this stud that we're going to have to insert right here. So we'll go ahead and we'll just flip this over and punch that in. Alright, this is what you're going to want to do. Grab the stud, put it in here like this. What I have is a 1/4 inch extension, and I'm just going to whack it with my brass hammer until it sits flush, just like this one. Alright, we went ahead and got both studs on, and we're going to repeat the process for the other spacer. Alright, we went ahead and put the spacer on the strut, got some blue Loctite on it, going to put the nuts on it, torque them down, then we can go ahead and just reinstall the strut. Alright, we got the rear strut in. As you can see, got plenty of room here. Looks like we got the other side done here. You can see the struts in there. It's in here kind of freely. Next we're going to start with the subframe. We're going to get those 4 big bolts dropped. Should be 1, 2, 3, 4 underneath. Alright, here I am underneath. We're going to have these 4 bolts that are holding on the subframe here. So we're going to have 1 here, 2, 3, and number 4 right there. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to break those free, get them loose. Don't take them completely out, but we'll just make sure we're able to get those loose. Alright, here we are underneath. That is the front of the vehicle. So we come back here, almost like behind the passenger door. So we're going to be removing these nuts here. This big plastic guy, this big plastic guy that's here, he's held on by 1, 2, and when we're going to be putting the spacer here, it's going to be pushing this bar this way, which this plastic stuff can't be here. And we come behind here, behind this mud flap, and we got 2 bolts up here that we have to remove because that's where we're going to be putting the 2-inch spacer as well. So go ahead and just loosen this hardware up here. Alright, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get that spacer that goes right here in the front. You see that's the front of the car right here. This is right underneath the passenger floorboard. So we're going to connect the bracket that's down here with the spacer. We're just going to put this on first, and then we'll connect it to the rear spacer that's right here. Alright, we got the front 2-inch spacer on. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put that rear one in right now. Alright, once you got all 4 of the rear subframe bolts loosened, you're going to go ahead and you're going to lower your jack. Make sure it's positioned right underneath the rear differential and lower it very slowly, but still keep these bolts on just a little snug. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take this bolt out. We're going to lower the jack just a little bit more in order to fit those 2-inch spacers in here, and we're going to repeat that process for all 4 of the subframe bushings. Alright. Once it looks like you have enough room to fit your 2-inch spacer, just go ahead and remove the stock hardware. I'm going to drop this down. We're just going to take that out. Grab your 2-inch spacer. Yep, definitely have enough room for it. And we'll just grab the hardware replacement. There we go. Once you get that in there, just make sure you line it properly and start the threads. But make sure you don't cross thread it. Alright, we got the 2-inch blocks here. We got them up a little closer up front here. Alright, next we're going to go and attach the rear shocks. Alright, here we are at the rear shock. Just going to go ahead and put the bolt through it so we can get it in place. Right, went ahead and got the shock bolt back in. It's super easy since this control arm's already like in its down position. We'll do the same to the other side. Got all 4 bolts tightened up for the subframe. Next we're going to go ahead and get under here and we're going to start putting everything back together as we took it off. Alright, went ahead and tightened those 3 bolts up down there on the lower control arm. We're up here, we got the brake line. Go ahead and clip these back in. Also in the kit, there's a brake line extender. So if you just want to mount this here with this hardware, and there will be provided hardware to mount the brake line to the top of this. Alright, we got the ABS sensor wire in here. We got the brake line with the brake line extender in here. We'll go ahead and do everything to the other side. Alright, we got the brake line extender on. We got the ABS line hooked back up. Next we're going to go up top and we're going to tighten the 2 bolts on each side for the top of the strut. Alright, we got the 2 nuts up top all tightened for the top of the struts. I believe next we can just start putting everything back together. Alright, just to recap, we got the 2-inch brackets up front. We got them up here. We come to the back. We got them right here and right here. And then we got the 4 main bolts to drop the subframe. It's not that bad. It takes a little work. Use a little bit of PB Blaster. Other than that, I think everything went together just fine. Alright, here we go. Let's check our measurement. You're about 32 inches in the front. About 31 3/4 in the rear. Alright you guys, there's the 2-inch rough country lift kit on the 2014 Subaru Crosstrek XV. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed. Mon86, out.